couple of years ago, I was in a bookstore, and a book caught my eye that wasn't the book I had gone there to buy. And I ended up buying it because the title was so catchy and the subject matter was so intriguing. The title of the book was Deathbed Conversions: Finding Faith at the Finish Line. And each chapter of the book was the story of a different famous person who had converted to Catholicism on their deathbed. And not like towards the end of their life, literally on their deathbed, on the bed as they were dying. And you'd be surprised some of the names in that book. The actor Gary Cooper, the gangster Dutch Schultz, the writer Oscar Wilde, and the biggest surprise of all to me was the cowboy actor John Wayne, converted to Catholicism on his deathbed. And some of the people in this book were literally baptized, given their first communion and their confirmation and the anointing of the sick within 10 minutes of dying. So these people in the book are the 5 o'clock workers from today's gospel. It's the famous parable of the workers in the vineyard. Some people start working at dawn, others at 9, others at noon, others at 3, others at 5, and when it comes time to pay them, the workers who started early in the morning expect to make more money than the people who started working late in the day. And of course, they're angry and indignant because Jesus gives the same amount of money to everybody, regardless of when they started working. And on a very everyday, real-life level for us, the way that's translated is the people who convert 10 minutes before they die go to heaven and find perfect happiness there, the same way the people who are baptized and live a good Catholic life their whole lives also go to heaven and find perfect happiness there. And that's especially true of the people who are baptized right before death, because you know what the church teaches about somebody who's baptized before they die? No purgatory. Straight to heaven, even if they were the worst person in the world. If they're baptized right before they die, they go straight to heaven. Not everybody feels inspired by these stories or by this gospel. Some people are downright annoyed by it. The people who work their whole lives to be good Catholics. You know, I had a woman in one of my last parishes, I won't say which one. She was a very committed Catholic. She believed all the teachings of the Catholic Church, even the most controversial ones. She was very devout, but she had one problem with her faith. And she told me multiple times, she couldn't stand this gospel passage. It annoyed her. It irritated her. And she would say, it's so unfair. I'm working so hard to be such a good Catholic. And these people convert at the very end and they get to go to heaven. That's so unfair. I can't stand this gospel. She would actually say that. Well, if any one of us has that kind of reaction to this gospel or to the stories of people who convert on their deathbeds, it says a lot more about us than it says about God. And the problem when we have that reaction is not with God and how fair He is. The problem is with our shallow understanding of God's mercy. God's mercy is infinite, everlasting, lavish, and greater than the greatest of all sins. God's mercy is available to murderers, rapists, adulterers, pathological liars. It would even have been available to Hitler if he asked for it a moment before he died. Yes, it's mysterious and it's hard to understand. You know, St. Faustina once said that no mind, neither human nor angelic, can begin to fathom the depths of God's mercy. It's hard to understand, but it is a truth of our faith that God's mercy is infinite and everlasting, and it applies to and is available to anybody who asks for it. Nobody deserves it, and the quantities it's given out in are not deserved either. You might have heard that little anecdote of the soldier in Napoleon's army who deserted and he was sentenced to death. And Napoleon was in public one day right before the man was going to be executed, and the boy's mother ran out from the crowd and grabbed Napoleon and she said, "Have mercy on my son, have mercy on my son." And Napoleon said to the soldier's mother, "No, he doesn't deserve it." And the boy's mother said, "I know, that's why it's called mercy, because you don't deserve it, but he gives it to you as a free gift anyway." And don't let anybody be deluded that we're in a better position than those sinners who die on their deathbed. If we could really see into people's hearts, we might see that we actually need more mercy than those people do. So you can tell a lot about your faith in God's mercy by your reaction to this parable. If this parable annoys you at all, you have a lot of room to grow. And if this parable makes you rejoice and glorify God, then your faith in God's mercy is probably closer to what it should be. And I want to give the last word to Jesus, who said to Sister Faustina, as recorded in paragraph 15 of the Diary of Divine Mercy, "Even if the sins of souls were as dark as night, when the sinner turns to my mercy, he gives me the greatest praise and is the glory of my passion."